All right, good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We're live, and you are being recorded. You may start.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the February 8th, 2024 meeting of the Architects Review Board of East Hampton Town. I would like to introduce Charlie Collins, who has recently joined the town's attorney's office and will be our attorney at this and future meetings. Charlie's here to my left. Charlie. We thank John Jelnicki for stepping in for the last few months and bringing Charlie up to speed in the near term. We will not have a quorum for our next meeting, which is February 22nd, so we are canceling that meeting, and March 14th will be our next scheduled meeting. In terms of new business, we're going to look at the new East Hampton Senior Center. I have a letter from the town that I would like to read parts of. Our comment on. In a February 5th letter to the ARB from the town board, we are asked to consider three things. If the ARB would like to declare itself lead agency for the senior citizen project. 2, if we decline the town board to do it, the town board itself may declare itself lead agency. And 3, if we do nothing after 30 days, lead agency reverts to the town board. I'd like to have a vote on this, and then afterwards we will discuss it and add some color and comments.
What exactly is the vote?
The vote is to decline that the Architects Review Board will not be the lead agency for the Senior Citizen Center, and it's just that question. There's really nothing else. So I'd like to make a motion that the Architects Review Board declines to be the lead agency for the Senior Citizen Center. All in favor?
A second.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so moved. I think it'd be good if we had a short discussion about how the Architects Review Board hopes the town will work with us in making a better senior citizen center, and because we are not declaring ourselves legally into this as a lead agency, or the town's really not required to consult us, but we are led to believe they will consult us. Comments, Chris?
I think it would be to the benefit of the town and the project itself if we did have some input on the process. I think projects of this nature typically do come before ARB review, and I think it would be a positive, give a positive input, and I think it would respond as well to some of the things that we're hearing from people in the town who have similar concerns and want their input heard as well.
Diane?
Well, I think the very terminology lead agency is sort of it's restrictive, and it makes one think that will be the sine qua non, the final word. And certainly that would not be in the Architecture Review Board's purview. But as I understood it, it was the various boards, the zoning board and the planning board and the ARB, who make a project complete, and particularly a project of this magnitude and this importance, and something that's been on the it's been on the table for a long, long time, and everybody needs it, and everybody wants it to happen. And suddenly, we're faced with a towering budget, and I don't know that there's much comparison, but just last week we reviewed the Devon Yacht Club, who's replacing their entire building with a new facility, a larger facility. And to me, I don't know, in a way, to me, it's a comparable idea. And I think they told us that their budget was $9 million. So I think everybody's sort of aghast at this $32 million super modern structure being the only thing under consideration for the senior center. So I would be happy if the ARB were consulted as to our approval of the sort of scope and scale of the project.
Right.
I would agree with these comments, though I'll add one thing. I'd like to give modernism a chance for this project.
Okay.
I just want to sort of clarify for the record that in case there's any questions about how we're voting, we're not voting to decline our participation in the process. We're voting to decline being lead agent.
Can I just,
Correct?
can I just interrupt that? What you should be voting on is whether or not you're going to consent to the town board being lead agency. They're not offering, they're advising the other agencies involved that they would like to be lead agency, and they're asking you to consent to that. And again, lead agency is limited to the environmental review under secret. Has really nothing else to do with the project other than the environmental review. Doesn't change anything else.
I thought we were being asked if we wanted to be lead agency.
No. Well, yeah, in a way, because when you give a notice to another involved agency, they can say, well, wait, no, we want to be lead agency, but the town board's advising you that it's their intention to be lead agency on the project, and they're asking for you to consent to that.
Okay, so should we re-vote on it?
Yeah, I would prefer that you frame it in that way. And again, lead agency is only, it's a secret term, and it relates to the environmental impact of the project, and they're kind of basically moving that forward, the environmental portion of it.
So by that vote, are we thus endorsing the town being lead agent versus something, an agency like, or a board like the planning board? Are we saying that we are voting to endorse that decision?
You could certainly, if you wanted to frame it that you didn't have an objection to them. I mean, you don't get to choose who lead agency is. It's frankly, if there's a conflict, then that decision is made by the DEC that steps in and looks at, if there's more than one agency that wants to be lead agency, they'll look at both agencies and they'll make the determination as to who's appropriate.
So by voting on this, we're declaring that the town board can be lead agency, and we have no interest in being lead agency as the
Right.
secondary part of that
Right,
sentence.
because you're not interested in doing the
Okay,
environmental
I
review.
didn't
because
understand
You
that.
do the
Okay.
aesthetics,
Okay.
basically.
Can I ask a question? For example, who was the lead agency on the new emergency structure that's going up now?
That is actually, my understanding is that is actually a project by, the land may have been, there may be some land arrangement with the town, but that's technically the tenant is the Southampton Hospital. And that was who I believe came before the board, not the town.
But who was the
But
lead
who was the lead
Lead
agency?
agency. That's a good question.
I think it had to be the planning department.
I think it was planning, but I don't remember.
I think so. I'm not
I think
positive.
that would be
Planning
interesting
department.
because
I'm not-
it's another
I'm not sure. We'd have to check.
important.
Yeah, because they are a tenant. That's the town's property, but there's a lease to the hospital for that site, for that purpose.
Because we made comments to it. I remember.
We made
Right.
quite a few. It came before us many
Right.
times. Changes were instituted based on the ARB's review, and I think it was all very constructive. And so, and since it's an ongoing project that's actually being built right now, I don't know. I mean, these other projects that are large projects in our town, I think it's interesting to know how that works, because we've never faced this lead agency circumstance before. So that's why I'd love to know was the lead agency for that project.
If you can just, I am looking at the application right now, or the, it's just the application, Southampton Hospital Association by lease from the town of East Hampton. I can. The application is currently before the planning board for site plan special permit approval.
Those are the planning board.
Planning board.
Okay, so do we want to reconsider?
It's my understanding, but maybe I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that lead agency doesn't necessarily add to or subtract from the other very standard review processes and board appearances and applications that would need to be made for the senior center or any other similar project.
That's correct. And it's limited strictly to the environmental review. And even at that, any individual, any other agency can make comments even to that. If there's a lead agent that's not your board, but any of you as an individual or as a board wanted to make a comment to that record, you can do that as well. You're not prohibited from doing that. Doesn't mean that you're excluded from the process. Just that means that they are taking the lead on moving it forward.
It's messy. Okay, well, I guess we re-vote on it. So the issue is, do we approve of the town board being the lead agency on this project? And as part of that, we decline to be the lead agency on it. Is that right, John?
That's fine, or you could say you don't object to that. And I think it's good that you're expressing that you're not interested in being involved as lead agent on the secret. It's typically not what this board does.
Okay.
And that I think that clarifies it.
I'm willing to go along with this. I just hope that the town understands that the standards by which they ask property owners and taxpayers in this town to uphold the standards and the bar that they set, I think it's reasonable for taxpayers and property owners to expect that level from the town board.
That level or higher.
That level or higher from the town.
Yeah, I agree. I think the project will be better if all three boards can comment and if the town board takes their comments, because every project gets better when there's more people looking at it and making suggestions. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we recognize the town board as the lead agency for the Senior Citizen Center, and as secondary, we have no interest in being the lead agency for the Senior Center. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I abstain?
Yeah, sure. Aye. Frank?
Aye.
So 3 ayes and 1 abstain. Okay. So be it. Let's move on. Yes, so we have the minutes of January 30th, 2024, January 25th, 2024. All in favor? May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Our first application of the evening, change to commercial, SMH Star Island modification, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-6-4-9, 32 Star Island Road, Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
This is an application by SHM Star Island, care of DeSuno Architecture, for a request to modify a previously approved resolution for the subject property at 32 Star Island Road in Montauk. It's a commercial property currently undergoing renovations on Star Island. The ARB resolution in question is dated November 30th, 2023, and it gave approval to add a window to the Il Forno restaurant space and to change an existing double door to a new door type. The application before us now is to delete the new window, reverting back to solid wall, and to keep the existing double door on the north elevation instead of changing it out. These changes are requested because the client changed their mind about their design elements. Does that pretty well cover it?
That pretty well covers it. Also, there was a window and a door, an existing window and a proposed door, which is now they're just going to maintain the existing windows on the north side. So you'll see that in the bottom right hand of your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I was under the impression it was only the bubbled areas in that plan that were which is the one on the smaller bubble is taking that window, that proposed window away and just keeping that solid wall, and then those north double doors would be the ones to remain. Oh, and then there's that small one, the small one up above at the top, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
the one you're talking
that's the existing window that's going to be maintained.
Okay.
So,
In any case, none of these changes appear to change the exterior character of the building in any significant manner, and I don't see any reason not to approve this request for this modification.
Okay, ma'am, could you introduce yourself?
sure, Karen Hoag from Toomey Latham. I'm here on behalf of the application.
Perfect. Comments, Frank or Diane?
Seems pretty straightforward.
I think, I think we've been pleased thus far with the renovations we've seen at Star Island, so.
Yeah.
And it's really the north elevation is down an access walkway between buildings. The small window that would be a solid door is under an awning that you don't see in that picture. It's currently up in place. So that would be visible from the waterway, but really in shadow. These are very minor changes. I don't think it really affects the character one way or the other, positively or negatively. It's just
Okay.
a little bit different.
Chris, you make a motion to move forward?
I'd make a motion to approve the request to modify the previously approved resolution dated November 30th, 2023, and per the modified architectural sheet RB1 and other documents included in the current application.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Thank you very much. Second, change to commercial, 618 Montauk Highway, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-170-3-19, and this is the property in Amagansett. Diane?
Yes. This is a property that I could hardly find. But at any rate, I did find it. It is, I took a picture of it. It's right at the crossroads of the American Legion Hall and Windmill Lane, and it's right there on those crossroads. It was difficult to find. It's dilapidated now and overgrown, but this application is to carefully restore this commercial building and properly, as it was recently acquired in this condition that it's in. They are stressing no changes to the footprint, no changes to any of the building dimensions, no changes to the use or occupancy of the building. A respectful, gentle modernization in terms of materials and an intentionally soft palette together with current, proper, and responsible construction materials and methods, such that the building and property will remain in proper condition for many years to come. It's a fully articulated application. This is the building now, as you see it, from Montauk Highway, and there's a few more pictures. It's a quarter of an acre. That's the crossroads there, which everybody recognizes, I think. And that is a ramp that I believe you've put in place recently. There was some very, very dangerous and rickety footpaths and things that have been removed. Do you have a more complete thing to show? That would be great. They've submitted all sorts of paint colors and gutter and leader materials and light fixtures, all of which are being replaced with dark sky compliant fixtures, which they have elaborated.
So this is how the walkway was in there.
I'm sorry, could you?
Introduce.
Chair, would you like me to introduce everybody? Would that be easy
Please.
for everybody?
Yes, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Eric Brown from Ackerman Partners. I'm here informally with Luis and Tom Lawrence to help support the application. They're both from Bulgin Construction. As Diane laid out, this is a rehabilitation of a building that is fairly decrepit now, and Tom will will lead you through the design elements and answer any design questions. I want the board to understand that there are no site plan elements here, so as Diane laid out in the beginning, there's no change to the footprint, there's no change in the use, the parking, neither the parking nor the sanitary will be impacted. This is just a renovation of a building that's in very poor physical condition at this point. And so I'll turn it over to these guys who know more about it than I do.
Luis, could you come up so we can see your photos? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
The whole application is very well put together. It's really, really refreshing.
This one changes. This will be the material used and how we plan to.
Very nice. And once you renovate this building, it's going to be rented out as office space?
Four offices.
Yeah.
4 offices.
Yes.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
I think we've actually covered it. And I don't think we need to consume any more of the board's time unless there are questions.
No, it's their own little gray gardens, it looks like, right?
So just to clarify, there's no change in like lot coverage, there's no change in, it's just renovate in kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
We described it, I believe, in the narrative as a resuscitation.
Okay.
And the property is accessed for vehicles through the adjacent property, right? Is there some sort of easement?
There is an easement from the 1985 determinations.
Right, because there's no curb cut on 27 for this at all. It's
No,
around the corner.
it was actually removed in the mid-1980s application process.
Gotcha.
Good enough. Yeah.
Well,
Any questions, Frank? Chris? I'm fine with it. Diane, make a motion?
okay, I thank you for submitting such a complete, and for raising the standards of the neighborhood. Very nice.
Thank
So
you
I would
very
like to
much.
make a motion that we accept this application as presented.
Second? Second by Chris. All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're now moving on to fences, walls, gates, and berms. The applicant is Craig McDean. This is 80 Northwest Road, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-91-1-10-4. This is Lisa? Hello, how are you? Okay. So I'm going to read a little narrative, and then we'll ask you to make some comments, Lisa? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So this is an application we last reviewed at our May 25th meeting, and prior to that at our February 10th meeting. By May 25th, the applicant had relocated deer fencing onto their property, cut down the fencing to 8 feet, and submitted a new survey, which we all found to our liking. At both meetings, we requested that the existing driveway gate, which is pictured there, be made 50% transparent, and we approved the gate at 7 feet and the pillars also at 7 feet roughly. So 7-foot gate and roughly 7-foot pillars. The issue now is the transparency of the gate, which the applicant by letter has declined to alter. Photos of several existing solid driveway gates in the same neighborhood, some legal, some illegal, some approved 10 years ago, were submitted by the applicant. This is a 7.3 acre wooded property off Northwest Road, which is a road that goes off Old Northwest Road over towards Cedar Park. This property is very deep in the Northwest Woods, down a 300-foot dirt road with just 2 other houses on that road. No one will ever see this gate other than the applicant and their guests. All things considered, I am inclined to approve it if it's that important to the applicant, even though we don't usually approve gates, but the location and the situation are unique. There's one thing I need to say, Lisa, is that Dan, could you go on? When the building inspector, there's 2 spotlights on the pillars. They're uplights. They're not allowed by town code. They have to be downward facing, dark sky compliant. So the building department's going to pick that up at some point, but you may want to rethink those lights. Okay, they're not part of this application. Comments from the board? Diane?
Well, I agree. I mean, if nobody can see it,
Okay. Chris, you're good?
I agree.
and it's a big property.
Frank?
Yes, I think given the context of, normally we wouldn't, I wouldn't be, but it's so far back from the street, and also my understanding, the photos I saw of other surrounding gates are in the neighborhood, it's similar to it, so I'm willing to go with it.
Lisa, would you like to say anything?
No.
I hope you've had a much better experience this time than previous
Yes,
times.
much better. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as submitted. Second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the board.
Okay. Next application, fences, walls, gates, and berms, Jason Redless, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-55-5-18, 14 High Point Road, East Hampton. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. We can fill the photos. So this is an application to construct a gate over 4 feet in the Settlers Landing area of Northwest Woods on High Point Road, which is a residential street. We can go through these photos. The proposed gate would be, as indicated on the survey, would be 20 feet from the street pavement, which is the minimum requirement. The applicant is proposing a PVC gate, of which there is a drawing for it. So I went to the site, and this is where approximately the 20-foot line would be from the street. Keep going. So it's a white PVC fence. It would be set back from the fence at the front of the property. And my understanding is the proposed height is 6 feet. Keep going on the photos. So you can see the styles of gate here, and I think these are PVC too. This is a 4-foot gate and fence. Keep going.
That's the last one.
Oh, okay. And then can we see the survey, please? And let's zoom into the proposed gate on the right there. So, as I said, the proposed gate, as I measured, and it seems to indicate on the survey, it's not in line with the fencing on the property. And before I let the applicant speak, I'll just note to the board that I drove down this street, and there aren't any gates on this street. I counted 21 properties, and at least 21, and no one has a gate. So code does allow the property owner to build 4 feet. So I'd like to hear from the applicant. And let's bring up the design of the gate to Dan. But I'd like to hear from the applicant why our board should consider allowing something beyond the 4 feet here. There's the, well, actually, here's what I'm confused is there seem to be a couple of designs. There's another file, Dan. A couple, I couldn't figure out which is the proposed design. There's this one, which has like a 3'9" or something gate, but it would be set higher off the ground because the application says 6 feet, yet I'm not sure where the 6 feet would be on this. So there's this drawing, and then there's the drawing you were just showing. Not that, but there was another sheet.
What is that?
So that one's a rolling gate, right?
Right. What is that white? What is the white image we just saw?
I'm not.
Jason, just the previous one. What is that?
Oh, that's our back, for the backyard. That's the fence.
Oh, it's a fence in the backyard of the
Yeah.
property. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, Dan, there's the other picture that was like black and white? That one. So that doesn't seem to match the drawing.
That's an old one. That was disregarded because
Okay.
I had to resubmit everything, so
Okay.
that's not relevant, that one.
Okay. So to be clear, so let's just, first of all, be clear of what's being proposed here. So Dan, this is not then part of the application. Let's close this.
Yep.
So let's go back to the first page of this, and just to confirm, this is what's being proposed?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is 6 feet here? Because the dimensions aren't provided on this elevation.
You know, to be honest, we don't have any strong feelings on the height of the gate. I was under the impression that we simply had to propose, have a professional renderings done. We are simply just doing the gate for general, we have 2 young kids and the trucks drive in our driveway fast and we just wanted something for a little more safety. So I don't know if it matters, but there are homes on the street with gates. I don't know.
I didn't see one.
Yeah, across the street down, they have one, but I don't know if it's relevant, but I just wanted to point it out in case it was. But we'll do whatever you want. We just want something, we have 2 young kids, and we don't want them running into the street, and we just don't want trucks driving up into the driveway. So that's really what our objectives are here.
Will the gate attach to the fences on either side of the driveway?
So as you noted, to make sure that it's set back enough, it looks a little awkward, So what we were going to do is continue the, I guess you called it the 4-foot that's there now, and kind of turn it up that way so that it meets the post, so that it's fully fenced in. But the shorter gate, it may look a little weird, like the height might be different if unless we decide that height should all be consistent, but we just were going to turn it that way so that you can't exit through the sides. That was the.
So it wouldn't look like this drawing that shows the fence parallel to the gate. It would actually, the fence would be turning perpendicular and butting to the edges of the gate area. So it'd be coming along, it would be coming along the way it is now existing and then turning 90 degrees or so back toward the fence, back toward the gate.
His photo, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Can you go back to not that one, the one where he shows the driveway? So I think what you're saying, if this is the proposed, here, we were going to just have this continue up. Is that
Right, turn and continue back to the.
Yeah, so they don't run into the, into the street. So if that.
I would make a suggestion that if you're okay with 4 feet high, then you don't need to be in front of us for review. And it seems like that you don't have any issues since it's a rolling gate that slides to the side. You don't really have any issues with clearance going, with the gate that would hinge inward and have to be lifted above. Yeah. So it seems to me that you could get away with being code compliant and not even coming before us for a 4-foot gate.
No problem. The one, I don't think, it may not matter, I guess, if it's 4 feet, but I think we were talking about 2 9-foot gates, not 1 gate.
That's fine.
So because we don't.
That's
have-
fine, yeah.
The cantilever, like we have 2 that would go one that way and one back that way. I don't know if that.
It sounds great, and it sounds great, and if it's 4 feet high, we wouldn't have anything to say about it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer if you didn't build a gate, but, you are entitled as a property owner to go up to 4 feet. And I tend to agree with Chris that, I would prefer to keep it within that. I think what you're talking about in terms of safety, 4 feet should suffice.
Okay.
I do feel kind of bad if the advice you were given that any height gate, you had to come before us and make an application. So,
Might have been whereas you can tell with this, we're not exactly experienced at this, so I might have been my mistake or missing. I would rather just do things the right way, and maybe I thought this was a step that I had to. I guess if it's higher than 4 feet, we would.
if
right?
it's higher than 4 feet, you need our approval.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what you're talking about here is doable at 4 feet. Now, just understand that includes every part of the gate, like not just the
Right, the rollers. and the posts.
like every post that's above it can't go up to like 4.6. It's got to be, the whole thing, structure's got to be 4 feet above grade.
Off the
maximum,
ground, not
off
the
the
height of the gate, but from the ground up.
Sure.
Is that fence 4 feet?
Yeah, that specifically was done.
Oh,
with-
that'll
with-
tie in nicely. It'll all be so the same height.
Yeah, was to make sure that we did that with the building department to make sure it
Okay.
was, yeah.
So you will need a building permit, and they will check it.
Okay.
I think that's a good resolution. I don't think we'd ever approve a gate higher than 4 feet, but you don't want a gate higher than 4 feet, so I think it's a nice compromise.
Okay. If for some technical reason, I can't imagine if it has to be more than 4 feet, I mean, what's the, I'm just trying to, what's the concern with the gate? You're saying, what's the problem with the gate?
The issue
on our
is
street?
that we get all these gates and we start to look like a walled-off city. You're in a rural area, there's maybe no gates or 1 or 2 gates on your street, so we're trying to limit gates if they're just not needed, or if they're too tall, or they're opaque, you can't see through them. It just creates sort of an unfriendly environment and kind of detracts from the countryside, so.
Got it. Okay.
But I think what you showed us is fine, and under 4 feet, it's all yours.
Okay.
I will say, I think it would look best if you, from an architectural standpoint, you were not requiring, because you can build it, but as opposed to what I saw, the proposed design is if you just did what you have for the fencing and put a diagonal to brace it, just to use that.
Oh, to have it match this, you're saying?
Have a match, that would be, it's going to look better if you
Be
do
more
that.
harmonious.
Because it's going to look continuous as opposed to like a more solid gate.
What do we have? What did,
That's my advice
got it, okay.
Hold on.
Versus,
versus that.
Yeah,
okay.
and you could even put a very light wire mesh in there
Wire
so the kids
mesh.
don't get through it.
Yeah.
You'll need to run a diagonal to,
Brace
to
it.
keep, to brace it, but it'll be fine,
Okay. I'm just thinking, just parading the horribles. If some reason it's like, if technically it ends up more than 4 feet, I don't know if this is gonna happen, but 4 foot
0
6
and a
inches.
quarter?
We're not doing a 9 foot gate, but if it's like 4 foot 8 inches or something, then we come back into and we would go through your process, right?
There's always a builder's allowance of an inch or so. So if it's 4 feet 1 inch, we're going to probably be okay with it.
Yeah.
But we don't encourage you to go build a 4 foot 4 inch gate and hoping that we'll approve it,
Yeah,
because we
don't-
probably won't. Yeah.
Please don't come back here at like 4.6 and say, oh, I didn't understand, so.
Yeah, okay. I just don't understand
Is there
yeah.
any, and it's also going to take time for you to go for the ARB, just make sure it's 4 feet.
Make sure it's 4 feet. Okay, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Right. This is okay, you guys have not seen this. So I'm just going to lay this out.
So this is 27. This is the Amherst, this is the Barclay, this is the Amherst, this is the Barclay, and this should have been the Amherst and the Barclay. We have 2 Amherst. This is how they built it. It was a mistake. So we approved 3 of each type of structure, and they built 4 of one type, even though the square footage and the layout is all the same. The roof lines on the exterior are different. That's the issue.
That's it, tear it down.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just explaining a very odd situation we're going to talk about right now. Okay, so this is extension of time, Crystal Muse, 250 Panago Road. This is across from the Bostwicks on the highway, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-188-2-5.2. This is mine. So there's 2 applications before us on this property, which is a 6-unit townhouse development on the site of the old Crystal Room Restaurant. One is for an extension of time. The other is to move to a C of O for the 6 buildings that are now nearing completion. Our resolution for this expired in 2017, so this has been a long time project. We first approved our resolution in 2014 for these 6 townhouses. The exterior experience of the 6 units which were approved were to be 3 of the Amherst model, The Amherst model is the one with the gambrel roof, I believe, and the Barclay model is the one with the gable roof. And there were going to be 3 of each. As built, there are 4 Amherst models and 2 Barclay models. All the interior of the buildings are the same square footage, and they're just flips of each other. So it's just these exterior roof features and some windows that are the concern. This has been a very troubled project financially from the get-go, starting in 2014. We're now a decade later, and we're trying to wrap this up, and the owner is trying to wrap it up. Now, apparently, on its 3rd owner, there is an interest by everyone to bring this to a close. While I'm not happy with when the projects disregard our approval resolutions, which was from 2014, the mistake is not material, and it probably will not be obvious to most people. I've had a hard time explaining it to the people I've explained it to. Sir, please identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jim Calabrese. I'm representative of Bristol News.
Okay, and did I correctly describe the situation?
Yes, you did. Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So I'm fine with this. Other board members, Chris,
I have no objection.
Diane?
No.
Frank?
And for extending the time.
Well, we're extending the time, right, and then we're going to go to the C of O.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so on this extension of time, I make a motion to approve the extension of time. May I have a second?
Second?
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. We're going to go right to your C of O since you're here. So on the certificate of occupancy, it's the same story. Are they all ready to be occupied, sir?
No, we're sheet rocking. The model's done, obviously, and unit number 12 is the one we're looking for the CO that's in contract. They're trying to
Okay,
close.
and that's the last one that's
That's
furthest.
the
in
last
from
one,
there.
number
Okay,
12,
So we're
yeah.
approving 1 C of O for 1 unit, right? Oh, I'm sorry?
The exterior and everything is done, like our portion of it.
Okay, so we're done. So in other words, you have issues with the building department on the interiors, but we're done with the exterior.
Yeah, I still have some inspections to do. Yes, I do,
Okay,
sir.
so fine. So then I think we can say that it's in conformance materially enough with our resolution of 2014, and I would make a motion to have you move to a C of O on the exteriors of the building.
Okay. So that would be, I'm sorry for the issuance, because we had all the inspections on number 12 already, and
Then you
it's in
should be ready to
contract.
go on number 12. Yeah, I spoke to the building
Oh, okay.
inspector.
What this would do would give you the go-ahead from us, so you wouldn't have to come back in the future when you're ready to close out the other ones. You'd have our okay to go for a C of O with the building department.
Oh, okay, so on the
They'd be
remaining...
looking for that piece of
Right.
paper for the
Yeah.
final inspection, and they'd already have it.
Okay, so the remaining units, we won't have to go through this again. We can
You're done with us.
do
We're
our
done with you.
regular inspections. Well, thank you very much. We're trying to get it done.
Yeah. So I make a motion that this project is ready for a C of O and to instruct the building department of the same. May I have a second?
Second.
Frank, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Okay, thank you very much.
So
All right.
let Mr. Martino know that I will send this to him after our next meeting when it's time. It'll be for March 14th.
March
Okay.
14th.
Okay.
I'll let them know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next issue, next item, issue of certificate of occupancy. This is Beckman Commercial, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-49-1-14, 94 South Euclid Avenue in Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
Extension of time.
And
Oh, I got to go back, yeah. We're going to do both at the same time, right?
so there are 2 applications in front of us by Beckman Commercial, care of Tara Burke, for an extension of time to meet conditions of approval and for an issuance of C of O with conditions of approval satisfied for the property 94 South Euclid Avenue. The property's new commercial property on the corner of South Euclid and South Essex in booming downtown Montauk. 2021 ARB resolution called for gray roof shingles, and they specified a color, the dark green windows and a green painted fascia. And I would note that the very small amount of exterior trim on the building appears not to be painted, but rather to be raw cedar, similar to the cedar's sidewall shingles. The application for an extension of time due to changes that needed planning department approval seems reasonable. These changes are listed as a reconfiguration of the parking, the alley paving, and a sidewalk connector, which is, I presume, the connector from South Euclid going down along parallel to Essex down to the lower parking lot. All the aspects of the construction appear to be in accordance with the ARB resolution, other than the minor and, to my eyes, pretty reasonable and acceptable change to go from a painted fascia to the cedar to match the sidewall shingles. Is the applicant here?
Tara is here.
Good evening, Tara Burke from Lighthouse Land Planning, here on behalf of Brett and Molly Beckman. Thank you. You did a great job summarizing it. I'd just like to add that we were in front of Planning Board last night, and they approved pretty much everything the way it is now. They decided we don't need the sidewalk connection, and.
Oh, so that sidewalk connection is not what we're seeing there in the,
No, it's actually between 94 and 92, where the fence is.
okay.
Yeah, it's over a little bit from there, but there's a retaining wall there. It basically, that street is really tricky when you look at all of the buildings. Along that street, it's really hard to get the sidewalks to line up. And the planning board decided that rather than have stairs there, it would just be best to leave it as is, since the sidewalk terminates on the property. It doesn't go to any public space. So,
Got it, okay.
so the planning board approved everything last night, and we're just trying to wrap up all the extraneous.
And when does the vet move in?
Well, they would like to know that.
Okay.
That's what we're working on.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested extension of time to meet the conditions of approval.
Second?
Aye.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Tara, you're good to go.
And I would also, I get to
Do the other
I
one.
get to pull out the quote now, and for the very first time.
Yes.
I make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolutions dated December 24th, 2021 and January 12th, 2024, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
Great.
Is that a
All in favor?
Aye.
Second?
Second?
You're good, second?
Yep, okay, so moved, okay. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Chris.
The 90.
Yes, so we're going back to item number 7, agricultural overlay, Daniel and Brooke Nidek, Suffolk County Tax Map number 200-3-41.5. This is 77 Beach Lane in Waynescott. Frank?
Okay, this is an application to bring 2 generators into compliance with side yard setback requirements. This application came before us last year, but we removed the generators from the scope to be dealt with in a later date, so now we're dealing with it. These are photos. Next one, I'm just giving, we're probably going to come back to this. This is what I understand from the survey, that little yellow box is where the generator would be moved to. Next one, so that's generator number 1. This is generator number 2 on the other side yard. This is the generator enclosure, which I must say is one of the best looking and most functional generator enclosures I've seen. Next photo. Probably works pretty well for noise diffusion too. I bet that probably helped to have it if it were wrapped around for the owner. But okay, let's go to the survey. So on the left is Beach Lane. There are 2 generators, one at the top. Let's focus on that one. Actually, let's focus on the one on the bottom because it's a little easier to go over that one. And Tara, this is your application, correct? So feel free to help me out in terms of dimensions here. But you can see on the survey, how far are we moving this generator?
Inches.
Like a matter of inches,
Lighthouse
right?
Land Planning. The generator on the south, the smaller one, is currently 23.5 feet from the property line and needs to be 25 feet. So we're moving it a foot and a half.
18 inches. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. Let's talk about the other one on the north side. So what don't quite understand is, I mean, it's pretty clear from the survey that where it has to move to meet setback. My question is, what happens to the driveway? I mean, is this, presumably, you know, this is a very well-kept property. So the owner, this is not a kind of owner where we would expect a generator to just sit out in the open.
That is correct.
Invisible from the street. So right now, it would be my understanding, go back, let's go, Dan, to those photos, to photo number 2, and zoom in on it. So that's what I think to be in line with the cattle gate and that line of the driveway. So that's the location of the generator, 25, that would meet 25 feet. So what happens to the driveway? Like, how would that be screened without squeezing the driveway? Unless that's the intention, is to narrow the driveway over the cattle gate and provide screening like there is now?
So if you look on the survey, sorry to make you flip back and forth. It's not in front of the cattle gate, it's right next to it.
Right in.
Natural, sort of, you know, modest way, but just, it's kind of magical when you go there. And so the current generator is behind those tall privets, which you would never know. And we're planning on screening that, but when there's no parking that's being impacted by the new location. It's tucked right in front of the cattle grate. Really, the only people that go over the cattle grate are the staff, and that's in smaller vehicles, just to maintain the properties. So it wouldn't be in the way of anything in that area. There's no large vehicles. There's plenty of parking for the house on the driveway beforehand, and you can see the cutouts on the driveway on the survey.
Okay, so where would the screening be? Would it be, I mean, would you no longer have access? You must have access, continue to have access to the back of the property through the cattle gate, right?
Yeah, but we don't need it to be as wide as it is now.
Okay.
So could you, I'm sorry. It's okay. You know what I'm going to ask. So you can see the 2 cutouts for the parking spaces, and that's more than ample parking that's required for the residents and in function. They actually own 3 adjacent properties, and it functions as a family compound. So that isn't even necessarily always filled with cars there. But so we would put the screening in front of you can see the generators 90 feet from the road. And we would extend the privet hedge in front of the generator and then put screening along the side as well. So they have no interest in seeing it nor having anyone see it either.
I mean, I think it's fine. I guess my only question would be, why wasn't it moved like in back of the cattle grate? Is it because, I guess if you move it, presumably it's a lot easier. You coil up the line, whether if you were to move it further into the property, you're going to have to make an extension of.
A lot easier to make that electrical wire shorter.
Right.
And that generator has been there for a very long time. I would say at least 10 years, and no one has complained about it. So moving it even further should certainly not cause any neighbor complaints.
Yeah, I mean, the only concern would be, I'm not worried about this owner, how they take care of the property of screening it. Just want to make sure it's one day may not be in the property of the owner, and I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to. And so, bottom line, I'm willing to go with it, but I think there's a gentleman's understanding here that it would be screened, but I don't know.
Well, if you wanted to put as a condition of approval that it be screened from the public view, we're happy to do that.
I think so.
Yeah, landscape screening, right? Because if we had to do a fence or anything, then we'd have to come back to you. So I'm fine with a landscape screening condition on that.
Yep. I think we do that.
Comments, anyone?
That makes sense to me.
Diane, you good? I think we're good.
Okay.
Make a-
So I make a motion to approve the application as presented, provided that the north generator be screened by landscape and not visible from Beach Lane.
Second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? All set, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. It's unbelievable. So that concludes the application part of our meeting. We're going to do 2, 4, 6.
We have two more.
Oh, we got another one.
Give a CO.
Oh, Minicelli.
SPMFG, you have to read that in and report to the tax map and say it's been postponed by.
Minicelli.
No.
No.
The,
Second
The SBMFG, the Fortyson Lane.
Yeah,
That has been withdrawn.
It was number 8 on the,
Oh, okay. I crossed it out. Okay, got it. Okay, so agricultural overlay, SBMFG LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-189-6-9, Fort Tyson's Lane, has been withdrawn by the applicant. Last item, number 11, this is certificate of occupancy. Minicelli Management, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-16-2-25, 11 Flamingo Avenue, Montauk. Chris?
This is an application by Minicelli Management for an issuance of C of O with conditions of approval satisfied for 11 Flamingo Ave in Montauk. It's a commercial property on Flamingo Avenue, very near the train station, comprised of 2 small traditional design buildings with parking in between. The second building is to the left of this in one of the other photos. There's the parking in between. The original design drawings in the folder are, I believe they're from the 90s. It's fairly rudimentary. And as I understand it, and the buildings are completed, and they do appear to be in conformance with the ARB resolution dated October 12th, 2023. My understanding is of the application is that the current owner has taken steps to close out open permits with the building department and to address any issues with them in a good faith effort to bring the property into full compliance and close out permits that were left open by others. Is the applicant here? No. Okay. I mean, I don't see any reason why we couldn't approve this application as presented. So I would make a motion to instruct the staff to notify the building department that this applicant has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution dated 24th December 2021 and January 12th, 2024, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so passed. Resolutions, I'm going to read them off. There's 246, 178 Buckskill Road, LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-183-4-1. The Chicken Place, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-197-2-8. Cruz Brothers Construction, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-197-1-45. 581 Wainscott Northwest Road, LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-133-1-25. Anthony Providente, E-EOT, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-4-17.2. And 14 Sayers Pass, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-196-1-8.2. I think we're ready to close the meeting. I have a motion to close the meeting. Diane so moves. Seconded. Chris?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is officially closed at 5 o'clock.
4:59.